man, I have no idea what Eli's going to do here, because it's like we've been basically in a box working on this live set, and like halfway through the first song, he's running around and going crazy and he's out in the crowd, and I was like, okay, this is going to be cool.
Ghost Cult Magazine welcomes in Brett from Ignite. How are you doing?
I'm doing well today. We're in sunny Southern California. It's not so sunny today. I'm looking out the window here, and we got palm trees that are all wet and wind blown and rain. We're not used to this. This is crazy right now.
Right. Too soon for the June gloom. I'm in Northern California. Got a little bit of sunshine peeking through my window.
There you go.
And after a little rainy day yesterday. But, first and foremost, longtime fan, brand new self-titled record out now on Century Media. Lots to talk about and unpack. But I start all these interviews. It does sound like a broken record, and I apologize to our fans who follow our YouTube and our website. But I can't unplug the human element from any of these things, as stoked as I am to have music to distract me from all the bad in the world. I hope you, the band, your families, your friends, your conspirators, whoever you work with, are okay as of today, because it has been a bear of a time in the world.
It's a little wild, right? It's a little wild style. God, I don't know. It's like one thing into the next. And I mean, just be nice to turn the clock back 2.5 years right now, and just like where everything was just relatively normal. But no, I mean, whatever, things happen, we deal with it. I mean, pandemics, wars, I mean, I guess this stuff's been going on forever, right? It's just like kind of some gaps in between, so you just not really expecting it.
Right. And now that the entire world is, got a TV studio in their pocket and at home, as we joked before we started this chat, everybody's got an opinion. They feel like they need to share. And I saw Jawbreaker a bunch this past week here in San Francisco. And Blake made an incredible comment. He's like, the world was a lot better when everybody wasn't a pundit. And as a pundit, a person who pontificates about things and studied music criticism and tries to be a journalist, it's true. Like, there's just too many mofos out there sharing their opinion, and just like, you don't have to share your thoughts on everything.
A lot of posturing going on in the world. I tell a lot of my friends that, man, I'm glad I get to perform on stage, so I don't have to perform on at home on whatever social media platforms, but which is not totally true, because I do have to do that too for band stuff, and I have a little bit of personal presence. But a lot of posturing going on out there, but whatever. It's where we are now with technology and everything, and that's what it is. Instant feedback. You want to know how your band's doing, how your new record's doing? Just grab this thing, and in about 10 seconds you can see what people think. Before it was like, I had to read a fanzine like once every 4 months to get some crappy review of somebody who didn't even know who your band was. But no.
Remember there was a time when you could go to a city and not know how you were going to go play the show, and find out after how people felt about you, or during, as opposed to before.
And not know how to get to the show.
And also not get lost and never get found. I mean, like, all the things. A lot of y'all would get knocked out in 1995. I'm just telling everybody.
It was work. A lot of work.
Yeah, y'all would get knocked out by life out there, kids. But anywho, I'm glad you guys are good. And what a banger new record you guys have.
Thank you.
And and second record on Century Media. And Ignite has always been a band. I feel like you guys are in your own bubble, part of a scene, but also like you do things your own way. And like, whatever. No one was like, where's the record? I'm sure people were. But I feel like, you got to live in between things. And you guys had, Zoli left, and you played those great last shows with him, and just kind of like, okay, new chapter, new era, new music. And I'm sure you were working on it already. But, and obviously the pandemic also did not help, because some people felt like, oh, I can't work during this thing. And I've interviewed a few people who were like, I just had no motivation to make art or do my thing. I just kind of lived my life, and I was waiting for it to be over, or less severe.
Right.
So I don't know if I just kind of wanted to start the interview by finding out, was this a record you guys had written and sat on, or was it written during the heart of this time in the world?
Yeah, we're the flip side of that coin you just mentioned. We went to work because there was nothing else to do. We weren't, well, one, we needed to find a new voice. So okay, now we have that task in front of us, and now we need to write songs because we don't know if the singer that we're going to get, if we find one, is a songwriter. So let's get to work. Let's write songs. Let's write music, vocals, lyrics. Let's do the whole thing. And what else are we going to do? Nothing, because nobody can go to work. Everybody's stuck at home. We all have these magnificent computers now with recording studios in them, so we can all share files and work on songs together. So it was a weird time because it allowed us to focus more than we've ever been able to focus before, because we weren't distracted by, oh, well, we got to go do the South American run for these 6 shows and break up the recording thing. And then it was just songwriting the whole time. And it really allowed us to focus on that task at hand, which was cool, because we wrote a ton of music during the first like 6-8 months of the pandemic. And then once we got Eli into the mix, then we wrote just as much with him in the mix. So it was as bad as it was going for the world, and as ill-timed the pandemic was, it was like when you couldn't tour anyway because you didn't have a singer and you needed to write a new record. I don't know, man. It kind of worked out for us.
That probably helped blunt the blow of not being able to play, because I think of Ignite as such an iconic live band. So many good shows. I've seen you guys a bunch in the past, and just like had to be, and that's how you make money. That's how every band makes money, is to play shows local, on the road, hometown, international. Like if you're not on the road handing a record to a kid, what are you doing? Or a shirt. What are you doing with your life? So I mean, at least you were able to work on this great record.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. It was really cool because all of a sudden we're in the recording studio a year and a half after the pandemic started. It was like, wait, how did we get here? This is awesome. Like, and we haven't really missed an opportunity to play a show. So that was like, there was some upside to that for sure. And it allowed us to focus, like I said.
Right on. I'm not surprised to hear that Eli came in and either helped or spurred a lot of creativity, because that dude is like everywhere. He's insane. He's like Waldo. You don't have to look hard to find him, but you could find him. And we've interviewed him before. He's a wonderful dude, and he's killed it on this record. I think a lot of people are surprised at how great his vocals are, but not that they should be, because he's always sang backups and stuff in his metal bands. But like he absolutely killed it.
Thanks. Yeah, we didn't have any idea what his voice sounded like, because we didn't know he was a singer. We knew he was this fantastic guitar player from all these metal bands, and we actually we were leaning on him to help us find somebody. Our drummer's friends with him, and we're like, okay. He's like, let me call up Eli and see if he knows anybody that could possibly be a good fit. And then Eli was like, well, let me take a shot at this. We're like, all right, well, and I said, to our drummer, well, can he sing? He's like, I don't know. We'll find out. And so he sent over a demo of singing one of our classic songs with his voice on it. And it was like, okay, this is awesome. This is cool. This can work. And then having him be like a guitar player that contribute not only like lyrics and vocal melodies, but like he was bringing in songs, complete like bangers. And we were like, oh, okay, this guy is you forget, okay, this guy's a shredder and he's writing great songs. So he definitely has brought a lot to the table.
Right on. And I feel like he's probably a guy that has connected countless people with band people. That totally sounds like him. And then I'm going to say, not that a music video is a great or a band photo is a great interpretation of how someone's stage presence will be, but we saw in the video him jump around with like, oh shit, he totally is a frontman too. So that's like not a separate thing. Like you have to be able to, might be able to sing great, and some people just kind of stand there. We can't all be Keith Morris's who could just rock that one pose for 40 years and kill at it still. And I just saw Circle Jerks and he was incredible. But Eli is a full-fledged frontman, and I don't think anybody knew.
Well, I didn't know that. And it was even interesting enough when we were in the rehearsal studio. You're in these small rooms and you're working, you're working on the live set and everything, but there's not room to like run around. And with the very first show we played was the Punk in the Park with Pennywise and NoFX. So there's 8,000 people out there watching us on our stage, and these people are filing in. And I'm saying to myself, man, I have no idea what Eli's going to do here, because it's like we've been basically in a box working on this live set, and And like halfway through the first song, he's running around and going crazy and he's out in the crowd. And I was like, okay, this is going to be cool.
Did Eli coming in give you guys an opportunity to kind of reanalyze, not just because you have a new record, but sort of reanalyze the set list and bring back some stuff?
Yeah, I mean, like one of my favorite Ignite songs was a song it was one of the very first songs written called Turn from like 1993 or 4. And we included that as a B-side on the Anticomplicity Anthem 7-inch that's going to actually, the physical form's coming out soon. But yeah, and Eli has his favorite Ignite song. So he's an Ignite fan. He's like, hey, can we play this song? Can we play this old song? And it's cool to see it through his lens, because he's been a fan and now he has the chance to sing this stuff, and he's like kind of handpicking some songs that he wants to sing from the early days, which is cool. It's just cool having that insight, like I said, through his eyes.
Nice. And I feel like a place called Home had an anniversary during the pandemic also that you guys kind of didn't get to acknowledge.
Very quiet anniversary. Yeah, definitely. And speaking of that record, that was like, 22 years ago now. That was the first album that Eli connected with. He saw us way back in the day at the Showcase Theater, right when that record was coming out, and like he saw us in either 99 or 2000, and he went right out and bought that album, and he's been connected to the band since then. So yeah, Place Called Home is a big one for Eli. The whole album in general.
And I concur. That was my first record with the band, and I'm pretty sure I saw you guys live right after that for the first time, and I was like, oh yeah, this is it. I love this, and I love everything about this, and you guys haven't changed much despite the singer change, and I think that's like, it's a thing for some fans to get over. Did you guys get any concern or pushback? Because it's very rare that a band can seamlessly replace a frontman.
We didn't know what it was going to be. We didn't know if people were going to be, oh man, this isn't Ignite. And I'm sure there's a little bit of that, but in general, the feedback has been tremendous. It's been so supportive. I think that people innately want to root for you as much as people like to tear people down. But man, if a band puts out a good record, I'm all about it. I don't care who's on it. If it moves me, if I connect with the songs, if I think the music's awesome, if I don't know, I think people innately just want to hear good music. Rather, if somebody really likes something, they're not going to tell you that they don't. I don't think, just because of the fact that there was a lineup change. I mean, how many bands in our scene have had lineup changes? And when I think about it, I think every one of them has had a lineup change. I can't really think of, you have like a band like Sick of It All, who's basically had the same lineup for almost 30 years, but that's not the original lineup. But there's not a lot of bands in our scene that the lineup stays the same. So I think that's just part of the climate of punk rock and hardcore.
So true. And we're all getting older and people's lives move in different directions. And to keep a band together, it's a business, it's a friendship.
It's so hard. Yeah. Personally, business, creatively, my life changed, I got a new job or whatever. It's so hard to keep those guys, everybody on the same page. And hats off to bands that can pull it off, man. Hats off to bands like Sick of It All. Hats off to, Rise Against, who's had that solid lineup for a while now. And it's just like, I don't know. It's cool when bands can maintain.
Indeed. Two great bands. I'm super looking forward to both of them coming on tour very soon.
Yeah.
We got to get your band on tour with some of those bands. That would be sick.
Absolutely.
And this record is so worthy, man. I feel like I want to hear this whole thing live. It's not a concept record. It's not one of those records that needs to be all in one shot, but it's so good. It's so catchy. It's so present. I didn't have like I was joking about bingo cards, and this was not on my bingo card in 2022, but there's just so many whoops moments every day when you watch the news, and to get a record that's still a band that still speaks from the heart, a record that speaks from the heart to real things. And we all look, I'm a metalhead. I love bands that sing about dragons and swords and shit, but like we have real life major upheavals going on every single second right now, and it's great to get a record that speaks to the real heart of shit, without a more eloquent way to put it.
Yeah, no, dude. Yeah, we were just, it's what we do. It's like, we just want to write this music from the heart and have 10 songs, which is interesting now that albums are like 10, 11 songs again. That just moved us. That was the most important thing, is we needed to be moved by the music and the lyrics and the vocals and every song, and just go and just trust that, because that's basically all we have to lean on, is like the five of us and our producer, and like, do we believe in this music? And yeah, if we do, then we just throw it out there. And if people connect with it and love it, that's all we can do. And that's all. Yeah, we just trust our instincts on that stuff.
Right on. Like, just life is wild. But yeah, this record's fantastic. I want everybody to go check it out. We're going to link everything in the description after this.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a bit, Ignite, no matter what happens, is a band that you can always count on to stay true to its core messaging, which is, refreshing. And you did mention kind of the 10 song thing and the streaming age, and you're from an era, like I'm from an era that was CDs and vinyl sort of, and now
Yep.
like it's weird that there's like these two arms. Streaming is this big weird monster, and then albums are back and they're awesome, but now we have the supply chain issues, and can you get the
Yep.
pellets to make the funky swirlies
For sure. And vinyl it's so cool that vinyl is, I mean, in punk rock, vinyl's always kind of been there, but vinyl's back, like across all popular music. People are putting vinyl out, and that's really dictating the amount of time on an album that you have to put your songs. Back in the day, Metallica used to put like 8 songs on a record, because that's what fit. And then like the CD came through, and everybody's like, "Oh, I'm going to put 42 songs on the record." It's like, nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear song 27. That's probably not going to be as good as song 4. So I really like that these albums now, from all the bands that I listen to, are putting out more concise records that I think tell a better story.
And I will also say that as you become a more veteran band, I think you see younger bands don't have the ability to self-edit because they're too close and they love their music and they believe in themselves. And a veteran band can say, hey, that's not as good as everything else, we should leave that off. Or if you trust a producer and
Trust the
you have that
producer.
respect.
Yep. Dude, because when you're in the creative process, it's a little bit blinding. But when you got a guy sitting there behind the control board like Cameron Webb, who's worked with Pennywise, Motorhead, Social D, NoFX, Alkaline Trio, everybody going, yeah, this song's not quite as good as this one, or what's missing from this. It really helps. It really helps that whole process.
Word. And again, like, not everybody has that. And there's also different kinds of producers. Cameron is a guy who will let you do your thing, bring your stuff to the table.
Yep.
Some bands need a producer to write for them. This is not that band.
Right.
But some bands need that.
Yeah. And that's
They don't
fine
have
too.
enough songs, or they need
Yeah.
somebody who's the song doctor. And
Yep.
that's okay. A lot of bands I like do that, and I don't have a problem with it. So, but it's good to, who you are, and you have someone who comes in that you have that rapport with, because
Yep.
it's hard. It's hard. It's hard out there.
It is. Yeah, totally. Yeah, you gotta have a few people that you trust and lean on, and that makes all the difference, I think.
Right on. So, you guys have gotten out and played a couple of things.
Yeah.
What is the landscape look like for touring that you can talk about that's been announced?
We have some European shows announced. We have a US tour starting on Cinco de Mayo in Denver. That night's going to be with Murphy's Law, so it's going to be super fun. So it's like 10 shows US, then we go straight to Europe with the Punk and Drublic tour with NoFX and Pennywise. Do a couple weeks with them. Then we jump in a van, do a couple weeks on our own, playing festivals and stuff in Europe, and then head home. And yeah, and then just sprinkling in shows. We have a LA show and a Ventura show when we get home with Guttermouth. So that's going to be a couple good local punk rock shows, and go back to Europe in the summer, play festivals. And that's basically, we try and build our summer around the European festivals, let those anchor dates dictate the rest of our scheduling. So you try and get on as many as those big Euro festivals as you can. And and then kind of build the whole year around that. So we're going to try and travel and play as much as we can, as far as we're allowed to. Hopefully everything stays as is and trending in this direction. But I don't know, dude, a lot of curveballs are being thrown at all of us right now. So we're prepared for kind of anything.
As we have to be like Boy Scouts, we got to be ready and prepared. And yeah, those European festivals are huge, especially Western Europe. There's so many of them back to back and clustered together. You can make it work. And Europe is, shorter drives, as the Europeans will say. America is so spread out. And it's like, well, we don't feel like it is, but it is if you're from Europe, and Western Europe especially.
Yeah, no, totally, it is. Those summer runs are awesome. Jump on all those festivals, see a lot of friendly faces, run into a lot of friends, and a lot of great bands. And I love playing festivals. It's some of the most fun shows that you get to play.
Right on. But I do always feel like, especially hardcore and punk, is the music of people. So really, the music of the every person, and because it's everybody grabbing the mic and you're right on top of each other. So obviously, we need to be able to do that safely,
Yep.
which is a situation that's ever changing. But hopefully, fingers crossed, it's been good. I felt very fortunate being on the West Coast and being able to see as many shows as I have.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been lucky. We've gotten to, yeah, partake a little bit more than some other people have.
Right on. And I hope it stays positive. Let's keep the arrow going up, and let's, still, I know everybody's very fatigued by the last couple of years, but I still feel like let's be vigilant and take care of ourselves so we can make it. I just saw a band have to cancel last night on a gig, which was a bummer, but
Yep.
this is never changing. We got to be just fluid, flexible, ready for anything.
And that's going to happen. That's going to happen with what's going on right now. So yeah, we have to expect that.
Right.
Absolutely.
Naturally. Yeah, I you mentioned you guys have a 7-inch coming out. That's very exciting.
We do. So it was the first single off of the album, Anticomplicity Anthem. And like I said, we did the B-side of an old Ignite. We covered ourselves and did a, B-side from an old song. And yeah, with the how far vinyl is backed up right now, it's I'm not sure when it's going to come out, but it's going to be fun to have this little like 7-inch coming out post album, even though the songs were digitally released, months ago. But yeah,
Right on. Speaking of covers, I think about like a year and a half ago, Machine Head actually did a cover of you guys
yeah,
that they put out as part of a digital single, which was fun and I think a surprise. And Rob Flynn loves hardcore
yep,
and is an East Bay guy, so he comes back from all that stuff and knows was a Op Ivy person and a
yep.
fan and a Gilman guy because he's from that area. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and he gave you guys a ton of props, and I
He
think turned
did.
a lot of metalheads onto you guys.
And it actually came out as a 10-inch. It's a physical 10-inch too that they shipped us. So it was, dude. I'm not a huge vinyl collector, but I like collecting stuff that I'm on. So it was cool when we got those in the mail from those guys. The 10-inch of with featuring two of our songs on the B side, which yeah, really cool.
Rad. Good to show love, and was a surprising and surprisingly great cover, especially a punk one because Machine Head. I think they're very early in their career. They covered Cro-Mags
Yep.
and a few other bands, and very early, and then not for a long time. So it was really cool to see them boomerang back with a cover that wasn't a metal song, and it was this true school thing. And he's very similar politics, so it's like right up an alley that I
Yeah,
vibe with.
we were real surprised that when their label hit us up, that they were going to do it and put two songs on it. And yeah, and then to run into them in Europe at a festival, watch them play the songs, was really cool, and see what big fans they were of that album, Our Darkest Days. So it was like, yeah, that was awesome.
Super fun, super fun. I always, as we wind this down, I want to give you back your day, man. You've been terrific. I always like to end these interviews, if I can, with a wild card question, but nothing too wild.
Sure.
So I always love to say you've been in music over 25 years, maybe closer to 30 since you're
Yep.
a kid. If you could get in a time machine and go back in time and talk to younger self, what piece of business advice for the music business would you give a younger you if you could?
Well, I mean, I think when you are coming up and you're working hard on your songs and your demos, and then you're working, I want to get signed. We just need to get signed, and I need an agent and all these things that you do need to get to that next level. But I think a lot of bands, and I fell victim to this a little bit until I realized that what you need to do when you have a agent that's now going to book you and you get on a label and you have a PR person, you kind of expect them to start doing the work for you because you're like, oh, well, I'm signed now. Now I can just not. But in all honesty, that's when you actually have to really get to work because now you have actually a staff of people that are working for you and you have to hold them accountable. And I think a lot of people kind of rest when they either get on a label and they're going to expect them to take care of everything and push your band. And I think that's when you actually have tools at your disposal. So I would suggest to younger bands, if you get on a label, if you get a booking agent, you get a manager, push them. You really have to push those people to work for you because a label, one guy's dealing with 15 bands and the agent's dealing with 20 bands and maybe a management company has 10 or 20 bands that they're dealing with. So I think sometimes you can fall by the wayside even when you think your career is moving forward. You just have to be proactive, and you have to really push labels and management and booking agents to work for you, because at the end of the day, you're paying them and they're actually working for you. So I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that kind of gets lost sometimes, is the work ethic once bands start moving up.
That is very fair, and I have seen that myself in other bands. So, very wise words of wisdom, Brett. Man, thank you so much for hanging out with Ghost Cold. I really appreciate it. Congrats on the self-titled record out now on Century Media. Please,
Thank
everyone,
you.
go buy it. Links in the description. Just thank you so much. Be safe out there on the road. Congrats on everything, and we will see you hopefully for the next one of these in person.
Awesome. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it.